Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Ruizalba. I am the Research and Knowledge Exchange Leader of the School of Management and Marketing of the University of Westminster in London. And this is a workshop organized by the school, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker today is Professor Marco Antonio Robledo Camacho. He's full professor of the Department of Business and Economics at the University of Balearic Islands in Palma de Mallorca. Good morning, Marco.
Good morning. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Thank you. And also we are very pleased to have you here with us. Marco is the director of the MBA and also of a Master in Tourism Administration of the Balearic Island. He's a very renowned master with students from all over the world, very prestigious, one of the most prestigious MBAs and MTAs in Spain focused on tourism. He has been also the Dean of the School of Tourism and several senior positions at that university. And his main areas of research are strategic management, quality management systems, standards, and organizational development and HR. And today, we're going to discuss about theories, why theories are important, what is the role of theories, and in particular, main management theories like integral theory, and also he's developing a new theory, 3D management. So, Marco Antonio, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jose Luis. It is my pleasure, as I said, to be here with you. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my research and my obsessions as well with you. I'm going to share my screen with you. So give me a minute. Okay, can you see that? Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Yes. So the topic of my presentation is going to be new organizational theories and multi-paradigm research. And what I'm going to try to talk about today is different things, but although they might seem like disparate themes, I'm going to try to weave them together in a coherent whole. First, I will try to talk about the underlying principles of alternative or organizational theories that are coming up now, as I said, as an alternative to the conventional management models, as a result of the dissatisfaction of some people with these management models and of the limitation of these management models to cope with the challenges of our times. This is the part that I will give it less importance because I'm aware that most of you are coming from marketing, and maybe this is the part that is more specialized in management theory and organizational theory. So I want to make it more interesting for you, and especially more usable for you. So what I'm going to focus more is in talking about as Jose Luis said, the importance of theory and especially the developing meta theories. We will know or we'll learn later what a meta theory is, and I will use a framework that is integral theory to talk about that, and we will apply this meta theorizing and integral theory for multi-paradigm research. I think that this is something that I think we really need in management, in marketing, in general, in most of the academic disciplines, And I will use an example of this meta theory building process that I will talk about. And it will be the example of a theory I have developed as one of these alternative theories of management that are coming up to nowadays, that is called 3D management. So you will see how I have used this meta-theorizing process for multi-paradigm research for coming up coming up with a meta theory that is called 3D management. And hopefully you might be able to apply that process to develop your own theories and meta theories. I would like to start by talking about 3 trends that I think are redefining the way we conceive organizations today, and that are having a strong impact on the way we are managing those organizations. The first thing most of you in marketing are very aware of: we live in a VUCA world, a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment where change is the only constant. When in the past, years ago, I was explaining the VUCA environment to my students, I used to talk about Brexit, about the rise of Trump, and other examples that I thought they were representatives of our VUCA environment. But then came the mother of all VUCA events, which is the coronavirus. And COVID taught us how uncertain, unpredictable, and uncertain things are. I mean, who could have predicted the coronavirus global pandemic? Nobody did, especially and certainly not academics. We have failed miserably to predict not only the coronavirus, but most of the changes that have appeared and that keep appearing relentlessly in our environment. And one of the reasons for that is that maybe our view is too narrow. So we are too focused in refining and testing our middle range theories, and so we don't see the big picture. Obviously, organizations are not doing any better. They are using management models that were invented more than 2 centuries ago, and that obviously they have been refined, but their premises have not changed. They are still based on command and control, rules and procedures, and these management systems worked wonderfully in stable and predictable environments. But in my opinion, they are basically useless in a VUCA environment. And obviously, as there is going to be other black swans appearing, we can see some of the in the horizon, as we see in this drawing. So now we are in a moment of the starting of an economic crisis as a result of the war and of the health crisis that we had and that we still have. And then there is the climate change crisis next on the horizon. So obviously those pressures are going to keep appearing, and they are going to be more and more challenging. Then another trend is the growing dissatisfaction about the social responsibility of business and corporations. And obviously the principle of maximizing profits is behind that growing dissatisfaction, because this monolithic principle, which is the first thing we study, a student of management learns, that the final goal of business is maximizing profits, is marginalizing other dimensions such as sustainability, social responsibility. We were talking about ethics before, and even human needs and rights. And that's one of the underlying causes of the environmental and health crisis that I just mentioned. Obviously, there are other dimensions that, because of those pressures, are appearing as being important to keep into account in our management thinking. And we have there the triple balance of people, profit, and planet. But in most of these cases, although these the emergence of these principles like social responsibility or corporate social responsibility and so on are making are changing the landscape and are making a difference. They are still subordinated to the principle of maximizing profits. So many times it becomes just greenwashing and things like that. You all know that. The third trend is about employee dissatisfaction. The leading and more often quoted study on employee engagement is Gallup's State of the Global Workplace Report. It's a study that has been carried out since 2009 in more than 150 countries. And roughly, I think that 180 million employees have been interviewed in the process. So it's not bad as a sample. And they are showing very consistent results. And those results couldn't be more disheartening. Here you can see the results of 219, but you can see below in the results in the United States, for example, we see that the graph is fairly consistent, you know, so we don't see huge variations. So according to those results and this report, the percentage of adults that are engaged at work is just about 15%. In this case, it's 17.2%. The rest, you know, more than 80% of the people are coming to work every morning, but they have mentally resigned a long time ago. And we can see as well that something that is even more worrying, that about 32% in this case are actively disengaged. What does it mean to be actively disengaged about your work? It means that not only you are not rowing as hard as you can, is that when the boss is not looking, you are punching holes in the boat, you know. So that's a sign that our system is bankrupt. You know, we need a new management model that, in this case, involves and engages the heart and souls of the employees. So more and more voices are claiming that the current paradigm of business is going to sink like the Titanic because it's no longer valid for our current conditions. So we need alternative theories of management and a new paradigm that is more consistent with our times and with our needs as human beings and as a planet and as a species. There are many theories and methodologies, models that are emerging. Some of them are here: lean management, agile, geo organizations, conscious capitalisms, holacracy, sociocracy 3.0. You know, you might be aware of some of them, B Corps, and those theories are laying out the foundations for this new management paradigm that could be the alternative to the conventional way of managing organizations. But the focus of these theories are different. Some of them are focusing more on governance systems, mainly self-managing systems in many cases. Others on more humane cultures, others more on social responsibility, and so on. But all of them have in common being an alternative against the conventional management system, because they believe that is no longer valid for these different reasons I've pointed out. Many organizations as well are advocating for these new theories and models, or they have created their own models. Some of them here that you can see here, for example, are very, very important. So there is this silent revolution that I call it, that is changing the way we conceive organizations and the way we conceive management. you vaguely, because especially I've told you about it many times. I'm obsessed with integral theory. We'll start by defining exactly what is integral theory as a field of academic discourse, and what is an integral theory then. So integral theory is an area of discourse that emerges from the philosophy of an author called Ken Wilber. There are many integral theories, but the most influential one is the one developed by Ken Wilber. That is one of the most important living philosophers, together with Habermas. Probably they are the two most important living philosophers. And this integral theory that was first proposed by Ken Wilber has evolved into a field of scholarly research, and is mainly focused on the interactions of ontology, epistemology, and methodology. So on the way we conceive a particular discipline, such as management or marketing, how we go about this discipline, that would be the epistemology, and how we develop a methodology for working in those disciplines. Obviously, a part of these academic applications, integral theory has many other applications in practical terms, because what integral theory looks for is a complete and holistic understanding of reality. It tries to incorporate as many perspectives of reality as possible, because reality is a very complex thing, and the more perspectives we incorporate, the more complete our map of reality will be. You can see this illustration here that is very representative of our limited views of realities. We see reality from one perspective. We will have some part of the truth, but not all of the truth, and will be, at the same time, will be marginalizing other aspects of that reality. So maybe we think that reality looks like a square, and some people that are looking from another perspective will think that reality looks like a circle. And none of them, all of them are partially true, but none of them encompasses all the aspects of reality. And in this case, this reality looks like a cylinder. So an integral approach is trying to have a more complete view on reality by having this multi-perspective approach or multi-paradigm approach that is trying to put together all these separate and sometimes even conflicting views on reality to create, in our case, as researchers, more complex meta theories. So that's what meta theorizing is about, is trying to create a theory that combines different paradigms, so it has a more complete view on the aspect that we are researching. Integral theory has had a limited still impact on mainstream academia, but it's making a lot of inroads. It's still an emerging field of academic discourse, but it's having more and more importance. Obviously, in the discipline that has had more impact is in the discipline of psychology. In psychology, it's been very influential because Wilber, as an academic, now he's no longer working in a university, but he started his career. Now he's a guru and an author, and he doesn't belong to the university. But initially, he started as a researcher in the field of transpersonal psychology, and he was one of the most renowned names in the field of transpersonal psychology. So his first applications of integral theory were to the field of consciousness studies, and so to the field of psychology. And since then, integral theory has been applied to more than 60 disciplines. So now there are very few fields of human knowledge that are where integral theory has not been applied. So there is integral education, integral architecture, integral sustainability, integral, I don't know, spirituality, you name it, you know, there's integral everything nowadays. You go to a conference on integral theory, you will see, you know, so many different tracks that represent all fields of human knowledge there. And there are some even peer-reviewed academic journals. First, there is the Journal of Integral Theory that was founded under the leadership of Ken Wilber. There is a Scopus journal, and then there are other journals less important than that one, that is like Integral Review and Integral Leadership, that I think they are as well in Scopus. And there are more and more articles, academic articles, theses, and dissertations that are that use the framework of integral theory. There are even some academic departments that are specialized in integral theory. For example, in the JFK University, and whole universities, one university in particular, Meridian University in the US in San Francisco, that has integral theory as its underlying paradigm to everything they do. So integral theory is growing in importance in academic research and disciplines. Why do I think integral theory is important? Well, first, traditional theory building, the traditional method of theory building that is commonly more widely used, have led to very valuable but incomplete views as a result of this diagram that I showed you, or this picture I showed you before, that they were, each theory normally is developed under a single paradigm. So it has a partial, you know, view of reality. And as Wilber said, nobody is, he says in a paradoxical way, in a funny way, nobody is clever enough to be wrong all of the time. So we need more integrative theories, more complex theories that take up within its scope more of reality, or as much as reality as possible, because the growing complexity of the world and of business requires explanations that are matched in complexity. And as well, because I would add, because the traditional theory building paradigm runs the risk of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, you know, because every new theory that is developed tries to be like the definitive theory. This is the right theory. Before, all the theories before were wrong, you know. So it's my paradigm that is right. All the other paradigms were wrong. So this approach to theory building emphasizes that maybe this theory has more of the truth than the previous theories, but is like negating the part of the truth that other paradigms might have. So, as I said, they are throwing the baby out with the bathwater with this approach to theory building. A more meta-theoretical approach to theory building that recognizes the truths behind other theories, I think is better to having a more complete map of reality. So integral theory is using, rather than a single conceptual lens, a sort of kaleidoscope. You know what a kaleidoscope is, right? So a kaleidoscope is maybe more able to capture more parts of reality, more parts of the truth, that if we are using a single small lens. Yeah. Let's talk about now meta theory building. As I said, integral theory relies on building, or is about building meta theories, but meta theory building is not only integral theory. Meta theory, the field of meta theory building is much older than integral theory. So integral theory and meta theory building overlap, but they are different fields. The field of meta theory building is booming, relatively speaking, obviously, in the last decades because of the importance that building meta theories is acquiring in our complex world. But still, there are not many methodologies for building meta theories. And I'm gonna I'm gonna tell you about the one that is considered like the one that is more established within academia, that is meta triangulation. Yeah. And it's the one that I've used in my meta theory building process of my theory 3D management. So I'm going to tell you in parallel about this, the meta theory building process of meta triangulation, and I will use as an example my 3D management model. So you will be able to see how to develop a meta theory, yeah. And at the same time, you will see how I have applied that to my own theory. Hopefully, as a result of that, you can maybe learn the process and build your own meta theories of marketing or of ethics or whatever you are working with. So first, what is a meta theory? A meta theory is a theory of theories, right? It's a theory that integrates previous theory using multi-paradigm research to have a more complete understanding of the reality that we are studying. The process of meta triangulation was developed by initially by Joya and Peter in 1990, and then it was further refined by Lewis and Grimes, and it's a qualitative research process that is using multi-paradigm research to achieve a broader understanding of the phenomenon of study. So what it does is analyzing the underlying paradigms of different theories and develop, as a result of this analysis, a new theory that encompasses as many as possible of those previous theories and paradigms. It has 3 different stages. Groundwork is the first one, data analysis is the second one, and theory building is the third one. So we'll go through these stages, and as I said, I will be applying this process to the development of my own theory called 3D management. The first stage is the stage of groundwork. The idea here is to develop a multi-paradigmatic review of the discipline that you are studying. In my case, it was management. And as I said, the unit of analysis of meta theory research is our theories. So these were my data. And for this analysis, then in the groundwork phase, there are two methodologies that you apply. First one is bracketing, and the second one is bridging. I will tell you about those ones later. But bracketing basically consists in reviewing the literature and classifying the theories and schools of thought in their underlying paradigms. And to do that, well, in my case, I use several methodologies, but to make it shorter and simpler, I will focus in one methodology, that is the AQUAL method. For those of you that are interested, I used as well, for example, Burrell and Morgan's metaphors. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I think that we can stick to the AQUAL model. That is like the basic instrument of integral theory. And what it does, the AQUAL model, that is this matrix that you can see here that I will explain next, is a perfect instrument for analyzing in a complex aspect of reality. It can be a problem, it can be an issue, it can be, in this case, a discipline. Yeah. So it identifies the different perspectives we can analyze this reality that we want to analyze with, and it defines the fundamental elements that we have to take into account to make this integral analysis. And this AQUAL method, AQUAL stands for all quadrants, all levels, so it gets more complicated than that. Yeah. But here we are only going to apply the part of the quadrants. If we have time later on, that I doubt it, I will give you some hints about the levels and other aspects that integral theory takes into account to have this integral analysis of reality. So the four quadrants model of the AQUAL model is this matrix that we have here. It's a very simple matrix. That's why this model is called brings simplicity at the other side of complexity, because it's a very simple matrix. Yeah, it divides reality, anything we want to study, in two axes. The first one is the interior and the exterior, and the second is the individual and the collective. So it's inside, outside, singular and plural, what we are taking into account. So it's very simple. Yeah. So the cells or the quadrants we have as a result of this analysis of reality give us these four different paradigms of perspectives of analysis of reality. The first one is the interior of the individual. So imagine, for example, an organization. An organization has individuals working there, and these individuals, for example, have interiors and have exteriors. Yeah, the exteriors of the individual will be their appearance, their physical appearance, their behavior, etc., etc. The interior of the individuals will be their thoughts, their needs, their motivations, their beliefs, their values. Yeah, anything that me, as when I first met you, I cannot see. You know, I can see you. You know, and I can see whether you are blonde or you are you have dark hair, whether you have glasses or not, how you are dressed. Maybe I can imply things like different nationalities or different races from your aspect, but I cannot look within you. Yeah, I cannot see what you are thinking. Yeah, I cannot see if you are being interested by my speak. Unless I ask you. Yeah. So the first cell will be the interior of the individual. And that will be the subjective dimension or the intentional dimension. That is about what I said before: your needs, your motivations, your beliefs, your values, and your worldviews, etc., etc. Then there is the exterior of the individual, and it's a totally different approach because that's an objective dimension. Yeah. Here is what I can see, what I can appreciate from you. So nobody is going to argue that I have a blue shirt unless you are daltonic. Yeah. So that's something objective, right? So it's about the behavioral aspects of in an organization, and then we have the collective. Yeah, the collective has as well an interior and exterior. The exterior of the collective will be the social dimension. The one is which is about social systems and the environment, which is an interobjective dimension. Yeah. And then there is the interior dimension of the collective will be the intersubjective dimension, which is the cultural dimension. This will be about the culture and the worldviews, for example, of the organization. Yeah. Are you with me? Is that understood? It's a very simple division that gives us like 4 fundamental perspectives for an integral analysis, for example, of an organization or a discipline like management or marketing or whatever. Yeah. Then there is, I didn't tell you about bridging. Yeah, I will tell you about bridging later. Yeah, but bridging basically, what it tries to do is to explore the gray areas between paradigms. Yeah, so also is trying to build bridges between the different paradigms. Yeah, so if here we have like 4 different like fundamental paradigms that we use in reality. Yeah, the intentional, the behavioral, the cultural, and social. Bridging would try to build bridges between these 4 different perspectives on reality. Okay. So this would be my analysis of the management discipline. Here, what I have done is classifying all the most important theories that have existed, have appeared within the history of organizational theory and management theory. Yeah, doesn't try to be a totally comprehensive, but here they are the more important. And they are classified within these 4 fundamental paradigms. So I've put every single theory within the paradigm or paradigms in the equal matrix that they belong to. So that's the bracketing part. Yeah. Then there is the bridging part. The bridging part is about building bridges between theories and or identifying the theories that belong or that are working with different paradigms. So we can see here, for example, that well, first thing we can see is that there are theories in each cell of the matrix, and that's a good sign for a multidisciplinary and complex field as management. Yeah. Then we can see as well that there are some theories that appear in several cells. So these theories are doing bridging, yeah, among different or between different paradigms. We can see, for example, theories like spirituality at work. Yeah, this theory that is at the bottom of the lower right cell appears here, but as well appears in the upper left cell, yeah, and in the upper right cell. So it is actually in the 4 cells. So this theory, you know, is quite an integral theory. It's taking many different perspectives, because spirituality is an individual thing that has interior and exterior manifestations, but as well is a collective thing. Yeah. So there are some theories that are in 2, that are in 3, or that are, in the best of cases, in 4 cells at the same time. And those are the theories that are more integral, because they are analyzing reality and organization for a discipline such as ours from more different perspectives. You know, most of the theories that we see here, they belong to one only cell. Yeah, and obviously, organizations being a collective enterprise reflects in the fact that most of the theories are in the lower quadrants, yeah, in the collective quadrants. And it's natural, it's normal that those quadrants are the more important ones due to the collective nature of
organizations.
But at the same time, doing this data analysis, that it will be the second part of our meta theory building process, we can see that the left and the right quadrants are not equally distributed. There are more theories and school of thoughts by far in the right-hand quadrants. Yeah, the right-hand quadrants are the most populated ones, especially the lower right quadrants. That's where social science, such as management, belong. So we can conclude that there is a specific worldview, a specific paradigm that is governing our discipline, and which is at the same time the dominant Western paradigm, which is the rational scientific paradigm, or if you want, scientific materialism. What does this imply? This implies that we are giving priority in our research to the material, and we are at the same time marginalizing the immaterial. That's what Mintzberg calls the myth of quantification. And a fundamental premise of integral theory and the qual model is that any one of the 4 quadrants cannot prevail over the others if we want to have an integral theory. All of them are equally important, and all of them should be present and should be given equal importance. So the left-hand quadrants should become just as important as the right-hand ones. And obviously we've made in management and as well in marketing a lot of progress in that area of giving more an status quo to the left hand quadrants, but there is still a long way to go in that respect. We're gonna make a break now in a minute, and then we will do an exercise after the break. But before doing the pause, I would like to open the floor for questions, and I would like to make a small mention before that to another possible application of integral theory that I don't have the time to go into detail, but is very much related to what I've been talking about. That is about research. Integral theory has developed what is called integral methodological pluralism. Yeah, so it's the same that I did for management, but as applied to research. Research will be more integral the more perspectives it takes into account, So it has to take into account the individual and the collective perspectives, and from as many perspectives as possible, identifying these individual aspects and collective aspects from a first person perspective, so I can talk about myself from a phenomenological approach, telling you what I think, what I believe, what are my values, etc., etc. Or you can talk about my personality, for example, Jose Luis that knows me can have an opinion about me. And this will give a more precise description of my personality, because it's what they say, a fish doesn't see that he is within the water, so a second person approach about me combined with my first person approach about me will be will have a more 360 degrees perspective. And then I can use a questionnaire, a personality questionnaire, to analyze myself as well. So that would be the third person perspective, the objective perspective. So I can have different perspectives about the individual and the collective on my research. Now I gave you an example about personality, which is probably the more simple thing I can think about right now. But that gives us, the 4 quadrants and 8 different zones of research that we could have, combining the quadrants with the different perspectives, whether you are doing that from the inside or from the outside, from a subjective or from a more objective point of view, Obviously, that's very valuable to do this kind of integral research, and it's something very necessary in our disciplines that were, traditionally dominated by the quantitative kind of research and objective kind of research. That would be from this diagram, what is called the zone 8, so we were only taking into account, out of the 8 different perspectives, we were only taking into account in our research, in the dominating research in management and in marketing, I would say, zone 8. Obviously, in marketing, you are using more as well zone 2, because you are very much analyzing the customer. So that would be zone 2, from an objective, zone 6, the individual from an exterior perspective, But there are other perspectives what we should take into account, and we are making progress as well in that respect, because we are using increasingly more multidisciplinary kind of research. So we are using mixed methods for research increasingly, that combines the qualitative and the quantitative. So we are, thankfully, using more of these zones, but there are still some zones in the traditional research that we are using in our fields that are practically not touched at all, So this integral methodological pluralism is very useful to be aware, at least to be aware of the lenses we are using for our research, So that's quite interesting, in my opinion. I wanted to mention it, although I don't have time to go into detail about it. So, any questions so far? I will go back to the actual matrix of the management theories and schools of thought. Any questions or any comments? Any reactions? Obviously, anytime I'm open to questions and to comments, so we can make this a dialogue.
Virginia has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. And, initially when you started talking about it, I started thinking about my paper. And because I'm drawing on 2 different theories, I had thought I can actually say I'm using integrated theory. But when I saw your bracketing and the volume of theories, then I knew, of course, if it's only 2 theories, I cannot be making a claim of maybe it's just amalgamating theory. But there are all these concepts that are related: amalgamating theory, assembling theory, because like in marketing theory, Russell Belk and others will talk about assembling theory, and others will talk about amalgamating theory, and others will talk now about integral theory. So the demarcations maybe, where would we draw the lines or the boundaries?
Yeah, well, I don't know about these amalgamating theories and so on, but probably there are a variation, you know, with different names of this multi-paradigm kind of research, you know. I'm just not aware about them as theories, haven't come across them, so I cannot make a comment about that, but I assume that they have this underlying interest of incorporating or integrating more theories in the analysis. Correct me if I'm wrong. So they are building on multi-paradigm research, you know.
But to qualify for integral theory, you need quite big variety. Not, you can't draw on just a few and.
Well, no. I mean, integral theory is about using as many perspectives as I think I need as a researcher for analyzing my problem, the problem I'm studying. So maybe for what you are doing, 4 theories or 4 different school of thoughts are enough, or maybe 2 are enough in your opinion. So in a way, you would be using integral theory. But obviously, if you want to be really integral, you have to analyze, or at least take into account, you know, everything that is being written, you know, or theorized about what you are doing. Then you will choose the ones you want to focus, because they are the ones that are more adept for what you are doing or what you need. But you have to start by doing this as comprehensive as possible, literature research. And then you will say, well, this perspective, I'm not going to use it because whatever reason, maybe it's flawed fundamentally, and this, maybe I can take this part of the truth, but this has been incorporated by this other theory as well, so I have it, and so on. And you have to make this thinking process, an analyzing process. Okay?
Okay.
Great. So, shall we make a break now? And then we will make an application of this qual model to your field of study or research. Okay?
So do you want me? Okay, after this discussion in groups,
move back to my presentation.
Okay, the presentation.
Okay, so this we saw, and okay. So now let's go about the building of the theory itself, you know, for building the theory, you know, I could have used these 4 quadrants, you know, for defining the fundamental dimensions of management, but I found that they were maybe too complicated to use them, because you need the theory behind them to understand them. And I wanted to have, like, if possible, as well, to reduce the dimension, not to use so many dimensions, because these are 4 dimensions, and at the end of the day, as you will see later, they will end up as 5. So as both of the right-hand quadrants are characterized by objectivity, they use the methods of science, they can put together, as you can see in this image, in one single dimension. So the 4 quadrants can be reduced to the 3 value spheres, as it reads here, of subjectivity, intersubjectivity, and objectivity. And these three dimensions correspond with what the field of philosophy calls the big three dimensions of human existence and knowledge that appear and they repeat consistently in all or most of the holistic theories about human knowledge and about human existence. So you can think of Aristotle's The Good, the True, and the Beautiful, Plato's Praxis, Ethics, and Poiesis, Kant's three critiques. They appear consistently in religion as well. We have the Holy Trinity. Buddhism has the Dharma, Buddha, Sangha, and so on and so forth. You know, so this has been identified throughout all wisdom traditions and throughout the history of philosophy. That reality has like three fundamental dimensions, or four, being the fourth one, the integral one, the one that puts the previous one together. For example, Aristotle said has these three dimensions of good, true, and beautiful, but then it has a fourth dimension of unity, right? So as a result of that, I've in my integral management model, I've defined the three fundamental dimensions of management as science, arts, and ethics. So this is my model that is called 3D management. Yeah, that conceives an organization as a unified three-dimensional reality, not one-dimensional as is the traditional paradigm. Yeah. So let me explain a bit these three fundamental dimensions that we will see later that has applications, or it can have applications as well in marketing, for example. Yeah. So we have the scientific dimension first. That's the dominant dimension of the traditional paradigm, you know, that is reducing all organizational reality to the achievement of the objectives of this dimension, maximizing profit. Yeah. So the scientific dimension is the techno-economic dimension of business that has an objective, the maximization of economic value. And it does that through productivity, through quality, through finance, and so on. Yeah. It's a dimension that is extremely important. Yeah. Because in my opinion, it's the dimension of the present of the organization. If you don't do that right, you will have to close down your business because you are not making enough money to survive, you know? So that's how important it is. But then we have another equally important dimension that is the artistic dimension. Yeah. The artistic dimension is an emotional and aesthetic dimension whose purpose is development, the development of the organization, the development of the people and the talent of the people within the organization, and the development of the products and services of the organization, you know. So this dimension is has values like innovation, like passion, like fun, like creativity, this kind of like learning, etc., etc. Yeah, and it's what I call the dimension of the future, because if you don't give enough importance to this dimension, you will remain stuck. Yeah, and competition will, and you won't be able to cope with the competition. You know, there will be somebody that comes up with a more innovative product or service. And your workforce will become obsolete in terms of their knowledge and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's the danger of not taking enough care of the artistic dimension. And then you have the third dimension, that is the ethics dimension or the moral dimension of business, which is the dimension that has an objective. As an objective, the contribution to the common good. Yeah, and it's based on values like sustainability, like social responsibility, like transparency, like integrity, and so on and so forth. And it's a dimension that I place in the bottom of this triangle, that this triad of dimensions creates. There is an equilateral dimension because, as I said, according to integral theory, all of the dimensions are equally important, and every dimension has different rules and different perspectives that we have to take into account to have a balanced kind of management. Yeah. But the ethical dimension, I was saying that I place it at the bottom of the triangle, not because it's more important than the other ones. It's equally important, you know, but it's the one that like sets the limits, you know. Ethics and morals set the limits of what is right or what is wrong, and what am I going to do to maximize my profits or to grow as an organization, for example. Yeah. So that's this ethical dimension sets the limits of the other two, you know. This, at the end of the day, defines a fundamentally different ontology of what is managing and what is business, because it overcomes the one or dimensionality of the traditional paradigms, where only profit matters and everything comes second to that, you know. So that's the problem that we have in our society today, that we are subordinating everything else to the material, you know, and that is creating problems in terms of sustainability, in terms of satisfaction of people within the workplace, because their needs are not enough addressed, and so on and so forth. So the triangle that is formed by these three dimensions has to be, you know, relatively equilateral. At some moment in time, you can give more priority to one dimension than the other ones, because we are, you know, in a crisis and we have to survive, and so we give more importance to the techno-economic dimension, to the scientific dimension, and some other moment in time we could give more importance to the ethical dimension or to the artistic dimension. But in general terms, you need to balance the three dimensions. So excessive focus in one of the dimensions at the end of the day is refusing the importance and even the existence of the others, and is unbalancing the triangle. So the idea is to try to balance the triangle. So we have to juggle with the different dimensions, you know, and not to let any one of the balls fall down, you know, because otherwise it will have bad consequences for our business, for our organization, you know, because these three dimensions are independent, you know, but they are as well totally interrelated. So we don't take care of our ethics that might penalize us in the market, or customers might penalize us, for example, you know. So all the three dimensions are totally interrelated. But then there is a caveat to the 3D management model, because it's not about the big three, it's about the fantastic four. You know, there are four dimensions. You know, there is a hidden dimension, you know, that is what I call the spiritual dimension. We need a dimension that unifies all the three dimensions, all the previous three dimensions, and balances all the previous three dimensions. Yeah. So the spiritual dimension balances the three other dimensions in a unified whole. Yeah. So we have this dimension of unity that has like two different sub dimensions, you know, as the other ones have different sub dimensions. You remember the scientific dimensions. I like classify them between quality, productivity, and finance. The artistic dimension is development of people, development of products and services, and development of the organization, will be growth at the end of the day. And the ethical dimension has as well its own sub-dimensions, but the spiritual dimension has two fundamental sub-dimensions. The first one and the most important ones, because that will be the final objective of the organization, is purpose. Yeah. So the organization has as a final objective to achieve is a higher purpose, a purpose that is higher than the objectives of the other three dimensions. So maximizing profit is a means to an end, to achieving the purpose of the organization. Yeah. And this purpose therefore is of higher nature, of a higher nature. And then we have another sub-dimension, you know, that is the dimension of communion, because we want everyone to row in the same direction. Yeah, we want all of the members of the organization, and I'm intentionally using the word members because employees maybe wouldn't be sufficiently descriptive, because the boundaries of the organization are less and less defined, you know. So more and more increasingly we have people that we hire for a particular project, you know, so they are subcontracted. More and more we involve customers in co-creating products and services within the organization. So an organization, you know, is very liquid, and it has many people that are stakeholders of that organization and that are influencing how the organization grows and develops and so on, you know. So that's why I'm using members of the organization at a particular moment. And I think it's extremely important for the future of organizations, being these liquid, increasingly liquid entities, you know, with not so defined boundaries as they used to be. You know, in the past, organizations tended to be much more solid, you know, with clearly defined boundaries of what was within the organization and what was without the organization. So it's much more much more important this creating and working in this communion, this objective of creating a community of members. It's much more than teamwork. It's people that are working together for achieving a common purpose. Yeah, that's the objective of communion. You know, creating a communion of people working together, you know, unified, in order to get this shared purpose that they have and coincides with the organizational purpose. So we have this fourth dimension, yeah, that unifies the other three. That is the spiritual dimension, the dimension of transcendence and purpose. Obviously, each one of these dimensions, as I said, have sub-dimensions and have different objectives and have as well their own KPIs, their own key performance indicators. Yeah. So the idea would be, you know, to have this as our balanced scorecard to manage our organizations. Yeah. To take into account, equally into account, the different dimensions that we need to consider for this integral kind of management. 3D management, as I said, is a meta theory, you know, and in the previous AQUAL analysis, you know, I placed it in all of the quadrants because it's taking into account all of the, sorry, it's here. You can read that, it's in the 4 quadrants because it's an integral theory, it's an integral build theory, an integrally informed theory. It is actually the pioneer application of integral theory to management, you know. Later I will give you bibliography about everything I'm talking about. This is the bibliography I will provide you, and I will share all my slides with you. So I will pass it to Jose Luis. But I wrote this book recently. I wrote a previous book in 2004 in Spanish about this theory, but it was much more idealistic. This one is much more tested book. It's not only for academics, it's more integral, it's for professionals, for everyone that is interested, because I've been trying since I created the theory in 2004. As well, I've been doing my applications in the field, applying the theory in particular businesses. The book, for example, has a foreword by Ken Wilber, the creator and the main exponent of integral theory. So it was really an honor to have him writing this foreword. And I was saying that the contributions of integral theory or 3D management to management theory is that, first of all, it's a meta theory. So it's doing something that no other management theory has done before, in my opinion, because rather than competing against other approaches, what it tries to do, as you've seen in this AQUAL analysis that we did, is try to include as many legitimate theories as possible. So the implicit aim of a meta theory is including all of the truths of different theories within this framework. So in practical terms, 3D management is a non-prescriptive model that is able to, let's say, host many different theories and even conflicting ones. So for example, one of the things I'm advocating with integral theory and with 3D management is for moving into more self-managing models within organizations, you know, having companies without formal hierarchies. That is something that is really a common element on many of the alternative theories that today are having more impact. Theories like holacracy or sociocracy or so on. I'm saying that 3D management advocates for a self-managing model, but then you can incorporate holacracy, or you can incorporate sociocracy, or you can incorporate sociocracy 3.0, or you can create your own homegrown self-organizational system, or even, you know, if the level of development of the organization and its member requires it, it could incorporate a formal hierarchical model, you know. Other theories, you know, that use a more traditional approach, they would say, no, I'm for self-management, you know. So the ideal model for an organization is having a self-management model, you know. 3D management doesn't say so. It says that you have to analyze the circumstances of the organization and its member, the level of consciousness of the organization and its members. That's something I don't have time to get into now. And according to that, use the better governance system for that situation, right? Another thing that it does, the theory that I already said, that is the ontological contribution. That is breaking away with the traditional ontology of management as being monological, where only profit matters and everything has to be subordinated to that, and defines a more wider variety of objectives of an organization, a three-dimensional reality for management that I think is more in line with the needs of the people, of the planet, of society in general nowadays.